Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to Answers Life. I hope everyone's doing great today. Welcome to Monticello. I think we're in Monticello, Indiana. Are we in Monticello, Indiana? I could have sworn I just did a video of Monticello, Indiana. Well, it's been a year ago already, believe it or not. It's been about a year ago. Well, you know what? My bad. This is not Monticello, Indiana. This is Monticello, Mississippi. So, welcome to Monticello, Mississippi. I'm pretty sure for those of you that been watching me for a while, you're familiar with Indiana. You're probably scratching your head like, I don't remember any of this. What he's talking about. Well, for those of you that were wondering that, no, you're not crazy, because this is not Monticello, Indiana. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Indiana, there is a Monticello, Indiana. But this is Monticello, Mississippi. So welcome to Monticello, Mississippi. Monticello, Mississippi is located in the south central region of Mississippi. Now, this town is not that big, as you guys will find out in a minute here. So, as far as it goes for many of your basic amenities, you're going to have to drive 23 minutes or 20 miles into Brookhaven. Which Brookhaven is a small city, about little over 11,000 people. And I do have that video coming up in the near future on this channel, so stay tuned. And I promise you guys in a minute here, we will be entering the we're already in town. But in a minute here, you guys will start to see buildings and all that good stuff. So just give it a minute here. Okay, now we're in town. So anyways, as you guys will be able to see, there's not a whole lot of amenities here, given how small this town is. So, most people that live here, they most likely drive to Brookhaven for many of their basic amenities. Now, Jackson, Mississippi is going to be your largest metro area, located within an hour of here. And then I think Hattiesburg is considered a metro here in the state of Mississippi. Hattiesburg is going to be the second largest metro located within an hour of here. Like Jackson, Mississippi, it's an hour / 61 miles from here. As for Hattiesburg, it's 58 miles, about an hour away from here. Jackson, of course, let me look it up real quick so I can give you more specific directions. I forgot to look it up before I began the video. Alright, Jackson, Mississippi is going to be located to the north. Hattiesburg is going to be located to the southeast. And if you're looking for a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of excitement, you're looking to go to the beaches, be around some water, you have Biloxi, Mississippi / the Mississippi Gulf, only a couple of hours away to the south. Now, Biloxi, Mississippi is 2 hours / 128 miles south of here. And the population here in Monticello is 1,441 people. And as of 2020, this city has lost 8.3% of its population. The population, I forgot what the population was during 2010, but I don't think that's going to be all that significant. just understand that the current population is 1,441 people with a loss of 8.3% of its people. Now the population peaked at 1,834 people back in 1980. In this city, now this from 1920 to 1980, this city has been can't even talk right. This city has been steadily growing. I keep saying city, but technically this is not a city; it's a town. So this town from 1920 to 1980 has been steadily growing. Now, starting in 1990, this town began to lose people, and it's been losing people. This town has been losing people since 1990. Yeah. So the racial demographics here are 62% white, 32.5% black, and 2% Hispanic. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel and you're new to me doing these kind of videos, when I discuss racial demographics, anything lower than 1%, I do not mention. So just so you know. And if you're looking at moving here to Monticello for any reason, whether it be temporarily or permanently, the two largest employers here are going to be Atlas Manufacturing and Georgia Pacific. So I would say the bulk of the economy here is going to most likely be manufacturing. Now, of course, there's little smaller retail companies out here too that you can get a job working at, maybe, probably. I don't know if anybody out here is even hiring, but I would say manufacturing is going to be the largest economy here. And obviously, if you're unable to find work around here, then one of the places I named off earlier that are located within an hour of here, you can go to any of those places and you should be able to find work. Now, as far as it goes for the work conditions, as far as it goes for the pay, well, that's a whole nother discussion. The pay obviously is probably not going to be the best, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta pay the bills. So for those of you that are moving to Monticello and you're relying on a 9 to 5, you got a few larger communities within an hour of here, and then if you're gonna stay here and work, like I said a second ago, manufacturing is gonna be your largest. Is gonna be your largest economy. Now here's a little bit of basic information about Monticello. Now Monticello was founded and named after Thomas Jefferson Estate. This city was briefly this town was briefly the state's capital before they made Jackson the state capital, because Jackson is currently the state capital of Mississippi, for those of you that don't know. And this town was also the home of the first bank in Mississippi. The bank was called Planters Bank. I'm pretty sure many of you know where the name Planters Bank came from. For those of you that don't know, back during the slave trade days, you had your slaves, and then your slave owners were known as your planters because of the crops. And this town was also the home of the state's first newspaper, the Monticello, I can't pronounce the other part, I want to say it's Gazette. I think it's Gazette. Gazette. That was the name of the first newspaper in the state of Mississippi. Monticello was incorporated as a town in 1818. So if you're looking at buying a home here, home prices here are going to start at $75,000 and go up from there. Now the homes around here, many of them are going to come with decent sized lots. Most of them are going to have at least a third of an acre. If you're looking to rent, your median rent prices are going to go from $640 a month to $1140 a month. And speaking of home purchases, now, for those of you that have been watching me, for a while, you guys may have picked up on the fact that I am an avid believer of purchasing a home in the community where you want to reside. However, I will say for communities like this and many other communities like this throughout the Deep South, if you're looking at moving around here and you're looking at buying a home, my suggestion is when you first get here, rent an apartment or a hotel for maybe, I'll just say 3 to 6 months. Make sure you like the area. Make sure you like the area. Make sure the job you're working is gonna be on the up and up. Now, we all know right now, there is no job security, so to speak. Job security is a myth as far as many of us are concerned right about now. And this is the reason why when I talk about smaller communities, for those of you that are reliant on a 9-to-5 storefront job, my suggestion is for you to move to a small community, for you to move to a smaller town, no farther than an hour from a major metro area. Now, in this case, Monticello is within an hour of Jackson, which is going to be the largest metro area of the state of Mississippi. So, for those of you that are looking at moving here to Monticello, come out here, maybe rent for 3 to 6 months. I mean, now that the housing market in most parts of the United States is on a decline, houses are staying on the market longer, houses are not selling quick, a bunch of people are lowering their prices just to sell their homes a little faster. Don't come out here and be in a rush to buy a house. Come out here, rent for 3 to 6 months. Give yourself a chance to thoroughly check this area out. And not only Monticello, but also check out neighboring areas. Go to Jackson. I'm not saying buy anything in Jackson, but as far as it goes for work, even if you find a job here in Monticello or you find a job close by, there is no guarantee that job is going to work out. You might get the job today, and then a month or two later, you might lose that job for whatever reason. They might choose to lay you off. And if that were to happen, you need to have some level of assurance that it's not going to be too terribly difficult to find work in neighboring communities or in communities within an hour if you're like Jackson, Hattiesburg, places like that. And Brookhaven. So, depending on what line of work you're doing, just bear that in mind. And I would say if you're looking at moving around here, like many parts of the Deep South, this region of Mississippi is going to be blue collar. So if you come down here with a trade under your belt, like maybe you have a CDL, maybe you do electrician work, you might be a plumber, you might be a carpenter. I would say if you do that line of work and you move down here, you ought to be good to go. Now I don't know Mississippi super well, so I could be wrong, but just by what I've observed, and read about this region of Mississippi, I would assume that if you come down here with a trade, you should be good to go. Now, if you're one of these individuals that went to school, you ran up a 6-figure student loan debt, and you have some super sophisticated, overpriced degree to where half of us don't even know what the hell your degree is in because we never heard of the shit, then you might have a little trouble getting a job and making your money down here in this region of Mississippi. But if you have, like I say, if you have a trade under your belt, or you have a degree in the medical field like nursing, for an example, or maybe radiology, and you choose to move down here, you should be okay. Like if you have a degree in nursing especially, man, you'll be living like nobody's business. You can come out here and practically buy yourself a mansion if you wanted to. But anyways, before you buy anything down here in terms of real estate, make sure that you're going to want to live here for, I would say, at least 5 years. Because one thing which I've learned about these smaller communities is when it comes to selling your home, it is not going to be as easy as you think. It's not going to be as quick as what you think. You know, you might be thinking, okay, I'm going to sell my home, it'll sell in 2 months. 2 months might turn into 6 months, I'm just saying. And plus on top of that, you'll probably have to lower your price once or twice. So just bear in mind, if you're going to buy a home down here, make sure this is where you want to live and be prepared to stay down here for at least 5 years. Especially if you're going to buy it on a mortgage. If you're not sure whether or not you want to be here for at least 5 years, you're better off paying rent. So now that I got all that out the way, if you move down here and you got children, the schools here have a B- grade. So the public schools appear to be decent, a little above average. And as far as it goes for the crime, your property crime for every 1,000 people, 8.9 people will most likely become a victim of property crime. The most common type of property crime that happens down here is theft. Now, on average, the national average for property crime is 19 people per 1,000 people. So 8.9 people per 1,000 people is well below the national average, which is good. Now, when it comes to violent crime, 1.5 people for every 1,000 people will most likely become a victim. Now, the national average for violent crime for every 1,000 people is 3.6 people. The most common type of violent crime is going to be assaults. Now I'm gonna jump over here to Niche and read you guys some reviews. Now I don't have a lot of reviews on this one. I only got 2 reviews. Now the first review is a 4-star, written October of 2020. Monticello is a great quiet place, but there aren't enough stores. There is so much grassy and empty areas, so I think they should build stores there. All Fred stores were also recently shut down, so that takes from us as well. Maybe they could build a mini Walmart. I don't think Walmart would invest in this area, simply because there's not enough people that live out here. The population here is only 1,200 people. And secondly, this city's losing people, and it's been losing people since 1980. Since 1990. So a city this small that's losing people is not the type of city that stores like Walmart are going to want to invest in. And as far as other stores investing in this town, I don't see it happening right now. Again, because it's a small town and it's a declining town. So if you move here, just be prepared to drive that 20 minutes to a half hour to Brookhaven for much of your basic amenities. Okay, the second statement is a 5-star. The second review is a 5-star, written January of 2018. Monticello is a great small town with one red light. Plenty for kids to do and adults alike. Many historical venues, museums is inside the Civic Center, and the courthouse is one of the most beautiful in the state of Mississippi. And that's all I got for you guys as far as it goes for reviews. So now I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents about this town. Now, if I was looking at living in this region of Mississippi, I'm not going to completely rule out Monticello, but I think there's other small towns that might be in I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on this town, on whether I would move here or not if I was looking to move to Mississippi. I'm kind of 50-50. I don't know. I would have to explore more of Mississippi to have a better comparison in order to tell you yay or nay when it comes to this town. But I would say this town, I'll give it an okay. According to the data that I read a little bit ago about the crime, it appears to be a relatively safe and quiet town. It just needs a little facelift. It just needs a few people to maybe take more pride in their property. I think that in itself will go a long way in this town. So I would say maybe if you're looking for a relatively low price way to start a homestead to live in a small town America in a warmer climate within a couple of hours of the Gulf, I would say this town may be a solid it could be a solid pick for the right person. I would say this town would definitely be worth coming out here and checking out for yourself. I'll just leave it like that. It's definitely not the worst town in Mississippi by any means. Now, some of you, and I'm going to say this, and this is one mistake that I made when I first moved down here to the South. Now, for those of you that have been watching me for a while, I grew up in the Midwest. And I realize that there's some of you that might be watching this video and maybe you're looking at moving to the South yourself because you're sick and tired of the cold weather of the North. Maybe you're tired of the super high cost of living out west or northeast. So for those of you that are looking at many of these smaller towns in the Deep South, understand one thing. A lot of these towns in the Deep South are not going to be as well kept. The infrastructure is not going to be as good. And I remember when I first started doing videos here in Alabama, where I currently reside, I automatically looked around at the towns and I just automatically assumed that the town was no good. It was sketchy, the crime was high, without me even doing any data to see what was really going on. I just looked around, hey, this is sketchy. I wouldn't move here. And that's all they wrote. And that's all, that's all. I mean, I was talking off of pure ignorance, to be quite frank. So for those of you that come down here, a lot of these small towns are not going to look like much. You're going to see a lot of overgrowth. You're going to see a lot of vacant houses and vacant buildings, especially in towns like this to where the population is declining. However, don't let that fool you. A lot of good people live in these towns. You could probably find you some good deals when it comes to purchasing some real estate. And I'm not talking to you investors, I'm talking to those of you that want to purchase a home for yourself and or your family. So don't let the looks fool you. Don't make that mistake. That's why I tell you guys, come down here yourself, talk to a few of the locals, and do your own due diligence. And that's all I got for you guys. So you all stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.